section overview, you need to write it down. So ICA exam, what can they ask from you? First, they can ask you to just define stakeholders for 2 marks, 2 solid marks, right? Define stakeholders. 2, what are the expectations of stakeholders? What do stakeholders want from us, right? Then we look at stakeholder mapping. What is it? They can ask you, all these things can come as theory questions, right? But with these ones that you see here, can come as answer in scenario or what do you think type of question. You see, I'm building you up, okay? So I gave you what can come as theory, though this one can also come as theory, yes, but some can only come as, like these ones, they can never put them in, okay, they can frame it anyway. I'm not ICA, but most likely, I'm talking about the more likely ones, right? These models, anytime you see strategic models, you look at how they can examine them, right? That will open you up to the different ways ICA can examine these strategic models. I hope that is okay with everyone. So, first of all, let's define stakeholders. Who are stake? Are you done writing the section overview? Are you done writing the section overview? Kindly put them down. Are you done now?
Yes, please.
Please, I hope you are all writing it down. Oh. I'll be checking these things. Oh. You need them. You need them. This is what they'll base on it and set your question. You need them. Anytime you get to a section, please write it down. Don't feel lazy. You just put it down for me. Okay, you need it later on. Okay, and that will be like a checklist. Okay, so you can even have a separate book. Make sure that you get at least an exercise. Divide it into 2 pages. Each page, divide it into 4 or 2, right? And then all you do is just write this. All you do is just write this. Okay, all you do is just write this. And then at the end of the day, when you are revising it, all you do is visit this and check. Have I learned this? Then you tick. Have you learned this? Then you tick. Do you remember this? Then you tick. You see, it's a good checklist, is it not?
Yes.
So you will know what you have learned and what you haven't learned. Make sense? Okay, shall we proceed? So what are stakeholders? Stakeholders in an entity are any individuals, groups, or individuals or external organizations that have an interest, and that is what we call the stake. Anybody who is interested in what you do is a stakeholder, okay? Anybody who is interested in what you do or what you are trying to achieve is a stakeholder. Some stakeholders have much more influence than others over the strategic decision-making of an entity. And the identity of the main stakeholders varies between different entities. So every entity, are you getting it, has a way, are you getting it, of identifying stakeholders or dealing with stakeholders. And that is what we are going to look at. And every stakeholder too has what it wants from you. You know, everybody you know in life may want something different from you, true or false. Some people just want your presence. Some people want money. Some people just want you to be with them. Some people just want you to defend them because you can fight for them. Everybody has one thing or the other, right? Some people just want to talk to you. Your voice alone is assuring. Do you get it? So all these things, all these people are stakeholders, right? Your family members are all stakeholders in your life because they bear your surname. You bear their surname, right? Are you okay? So stakeholders or stakeholder groups for a business entity usually include these ones, but with ICA classification, stakeholders have many classifications, but let's use the ICA classification from level 1, right? I think that is one of the best classifications. It works because almost every course that you do, stakeholders are inside. So I don't know, people who do not know stakeholders, I don't know what, and mostly when these questions come, students are not able to answer. I don't know why. But ICA classifies stakeholders. Okay, we have primary, secondary, but I prefer the 3-step classification, right? So there are 3 categories of stakeholders. Write it down, 3 categories. So stakeholders might be those who work within the organization. We call them internal stakeholders, right? So we have the internal stakeholders. We have those who have some sort of contract or have some sort of link with the organization. We call them connected stakeholders, right? And then we have those who do not have any link, but are external to the company, right? We call them what? External stakeholders, right? So internal are those who work within the organization. So we are talking about staff, higher staff, management, and then what? The workers, right? And there may be some internal unions, labor unions. Do you understand? Then we have connected stakeholders. So connected stakeholders, we are looking at what? Shareholders, right? Shareholders do not work within the organization. We are connected. We have your customers, we have your suppliers, not so. We have your lenders. We have what? Your, which people again are connected? Your bankers, your financiers, your analysts, your consultants, your tax consultants. Anybody you have some sort of contract with is connected, right? But the external ones are those who have no bearing on your organization. So government does not have, government is external to you. When you were setting up, where was he? So government, the media, the community, pressure groups, students, analysts, and potential investors. Please note, an investor is different from a potential investor. A potential investor has no connection. He is just interested in reading your financial statement to see whether he can invest, right? So that is why we call them what? External stakeholders. I hope you get that distinction now.
Will your competitors also fall under external?
External, yes. They have no connection. Your competitor, you have no, they are external stakeholders. Because they have no exact stake. They don't buy from you. They don't sell from to you, right? But your suppliers and customers do. Have you put it down now? I hope this makes sense. You see, this categorization is better than the broader category where we list all of them. Now, it is good you put them into these subcategories or these categories. Can we go? So where will I put my bondholders?
Please, under the internal, the last point, the last is internal.
Labor unions, internal unions. You know, some organizations have unions, right? And these unions, they are within. And you know, unions can also be connected. And they can also be external, you know that. So they have labor unions within the organization. We have labor unions who are outside the organization, but your employees are part of it, making them connected. We have external ones, which are like general labor unions elsewhere, where people can still be part of, who can fight for the rights of every employee in Ghana, right? They are not connected to any organization. Do you understand? Make sense?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay, so are we done? So let's do the category now based on what IC has provided here. You just tell ordinary shareholders. You just tell me whether it's I, whether it's C or it's E. I is internal, C is connected. Then we'll just ordinary shareholders.
C is connected.
Connected.
Controlling shareholder, connected. Other class of shareholders, connected. Bondholders, connected. Investment community.
External.
Connected.
It could be external or connected, depending on what kind of investment community we are talking about. Lenders.
Connected.
Suppliers. Connected.
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 Directors.
Internal.
Internal.
Senior executives. Internal.
Internal.
Managers and employees or groups of employees. Internal.
Internal.
External.
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 Pressure groups like environmental protection.
External.
External. Local
External.
community.
External.
External.
External. The general public.
External.
External.
Nice. You guys have got it. Okay. So although large companies have most or all of these stakeholder groups, the influence and significance of each stakeholder group will vary, right? Many stakeholder groups might have very little influence at all on your strategic decisions by the company. The relative importance and significance of each stakeholder group will vary with the company's circumstances and the attitudes of its shareholders and directors towards corporate governance. Okay. Okay. Now, this is what I'm very concerned about, because see, if you want to satisfy somebody, then you must know what he or she wants. True or false?
Sure.
So let me teach you a simple trick to dealing with stakeholder question. Even if you don't remember any model, remember the expectation of those stakeholders and think about how to satisfy it. That is the simple trick. So, for instance, if we take shareholders, what do shareholders want from you? They are the key stakeholders.
David.
They want their dividend.
Not
to be
only
stable.
dividends, so stakeholders,
Their
shareholders
price.
want something from you.
Their price.
Most shareholder, an
Capital.
ordinary shareholder will want dividends from you or will want what? Capital appreciation.
Appreciation.
Okay.
Appreciation.
But apart from that, the ultimate thing shareholders want is not just this, but also want survival, right? Have you forgotten? If the business does not survive, how can they get these two things? that makes sense. If the business does not survive, how would they get these dividends and capital appreciation? So your long-term survival is very important to them as well. So do you know something? Because you know what these people expect, you also know what kind of financial information they want from you. You see, everything I teach, we are accountants. So we look at the financial implication. For instance, you are saying they want dividend. So what ratio will be important? We can calculate things like dividend yield, right? Capital growth. Okay. We can calculate like dividend payout, right? The dividend retention, dividend cover. You see, this one tells you that everything here is around dividend and capital growth. And they want survival, meaning that gearing will be important to shareholders to know whether they can keep investing in your business, right? They will want information on your liquidity to know whether you continue to be liquid so that you can pay them the dividends that they want. True or false? They want to see whether you are profitable, so to see whether you can pay them dividends when they fall due. You see how I'm linking this? So knowing the expectation of shareholders and other stakeholders can help you know what information they want from you, what they expect from you, and finance-wise, it can also help you to know the kind of financial information. So when we talk about financial information, it could be information on your what? Your performance, which is your profitability, okay? It could be information on what? Your efficiency, or what we call your activity. It could be information on what? Your liquidity, and also it could be information on what? Your solvency, also your gearing. It could be information on what? Your market or investment position, right? Information on your what? Your going concern. True or false?
Yeah.
And survival. So this kind of information, it depends on what stakeholder you are dealing with and what kind of information that stakeholder wants from you. Do you understand? That is his expectation in terms of what he wants. Everybody has a stake in your life. As far as he's close to you, he wants or needs something from you. And always there's an overlap, right? You cannot satisfy everybody. So you need to find a way to what? Satisfy the most important ones. And that is why we will learn these stakeholder models. Do you understand? Are we cool?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's see some of them and their expectations and that. So when we take shareholders, what are their rights? They have the right to vote on certain issues, right? And their duty is to ensure that appropriate persons are elected as directors. But the expectations are things like share price growth and stable dividends we talked about, right? Shareholders have other rights set out in the memorandum and articles or regulations of the company now, right? So things like return on investment, possibly also expectation of being consulted by the board of major issues. Are you getting it? They are also expecting the company to continue existing. So these expectations, this is just examples of what the book has provided. It doesn't mean that it's exhaustive. People think that whatever ICA produces, that is all. So if you produce any other examples, say it's not in the book. Oh, no, it's not true. These are examples. If you want to provide everything inside the book is already bulky to scare people away, right? Okay. So what do directors want? What are some rights that directors have? They have no rights, but they have extensive powers given to them by the board, right? Because the directors are still what? They manage the assets of the stakeholders, primarily the shareholders, right? So the directors have certain duties in law. For example, a legal duty of care and skill, which is not supposed to be breached. Otherwise, they can be sued, right? So the board of directors have a duty to give leadership to the company. Okay, but what do directors want? Directors, just like every employee, wants personal advancement, remuneration, status, provide scholarship to their children, give them better conditions of service, right? Is that not what everybody wants? Pay them bonuses, give them lucrative service arrangements, true of course, and a better working environment. True of course. Now, when it comes to senior management, when it comes to their rights, they have employment rights, right? They can employ, fire people, do all that, right? They have a duty to carry out their delegated tasks that the directors have given them in accordance with their contract of employment. They are also seeking whatever the directors seek to grow in business, to grow in the company, personal advancement, remuneration status, right? Possibly, I believe that they should have the power to make key strategic decisions, okay? Now, what about other stakeholder groups? So you see, with these stakeholders we talked about, they are the most important ones, right? But there are other ones that also have different expectations for the company. For instance, employees expect to receive fair pay for the work that they do. They will often want job security and possibly career progress, right? They might also expect good working conditions. The expectations of employees might be expressed by trade union representatives. And customers also have expectations about the goods or services you are providing, and whether you can keep giving them discounts, you can keep existing so that they can buy from you, right? Then suppliers might want to develop good business relationship with you so that you can keep buying from them and pay them the amount when they fall due. Communities might want you to provide employment or an economic prosperity by investing in the local area, corporate social responsibility. General public and government expect you to show concern from the environment so that you do not damage the environment, reduce pollution, develop environmental friendly products, right? So all these people have their own way, but you know something? There could be what? There could be conflicts among these stakeholders. Do you understand? And because there are conflicts, that is why you need to look at who is what? Very important and settled. That's where stakeholder mapping comes in. Now, look, we know managers, right? Managers want what? Bonuses. True or false? They want lucrative or massive salaries. True or false? Now, if we are giving managers this, can we pay dividends? If we decide to give all to managers, can we pay dividends?
No, please.
No.
So there's a conflict, right? If we decide to build big schools in the community and repair every road that is in the community, can we pay managers? Can we pay dividends?
No.
So we have to find one or two ways to sort of settle those that are very important to us. Are we okay? And then the stakeholder models I see as provided, it depends on where you are looking at it from, right? They all tell similar things or they all tell the same things. But I think this model, right, this position and importance matrix is better suited to where you are doing something, right? Where you are pursuing something. You are pursuing something and you need to know those supporting you and those opposing what you are doing, right? So this one, I think is good for what? When you are carrying out an acceptance decision, okay, as part of strategy evaluation, so an SFA, right? So you check suitability, feasibility, acceptability. So this one, you can use it to do acceptability. Okay, so this strategy that I'm pursuing, which people will oppose me and which people will support me, right? So a business entity should manage its stakeholders, particularly those with the greatest influence. So as part of a review of the strategic position of a company, management should identify its major stakeholder groups, their power and their expectations. One way of presenting the results of this assessment is to prepare what we call a stakeholder map. Okay, so what is a stakeholder map? I see you can ask you for 2 marks or 1 mark. This is a simple diagram showing the main stakeholders or the stakeholder groups and their relative significance. Please write it down. Remember when we're looking at it, the outline of the lesson, the section overview talked about what stakeholder mapping is, right? So just write this down. The stakeholder mapping. This involves putting together a simple diagram showing the main stakeholders or stakeholder groups and their relative significance or importance, right? Are we okay? Have you written it down? You see, where you need to write something, I tell you to write it because it's important. Where you don't need to write, I don't bother you.
Can't Barbara.
Mr. Ida now, can we go?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, where were we? The purpose of stakeholder mapping, okay, is to assist the directors of the company or the governance of a public sector entity to obtain an appreciation of who the main stakeholder groups are and what their real and potential influences are over the entity and the entity strategies, okay? So one approach to stakeholder mapping is to show the relative significance of the stakeholder groups using a 2x2 matrix. So there are a number of different stakeholder maps. Actually, there are more than 20, but IC has decided to just limit you to 2, and these 2 people are finding problems with it, okay? So the power interest matrix is associated with Mendeley and might be referred to as a Mendeley matrix. And this is what was directly stated in your syllabus. So it is almost likely every night. Stakeholders are part of the organization. Don't say it came last night, it won't come. I tell you, stop having that ideology that, oh, this thing came last night, so it won't come again. No, don't think like that. Learn. Are we okay? Just be prepared. It's enough. We don't say, oh, my enemies today, they are carrying guns, so let me carry gun. What if they are carrying cold weapons? Okay, oh, today I don't see any gun on them. They are carrying knives, so because of that, I'll not carry gun. Have you heard some before? Have you heard some before?
No, no, please.
Well, when you are preparing, just prepare. Don't say trend. No, there's nothing like trend for you. You are a senior financial executive. You don't deal with trends. You always do emergent strategy, right? Okay. Now, the first strategic model I want to talk about when it comes to stakeholders is the stakeholder position and importance matrix. So I'm going to look for a case, right? Once we learn, I like practical, making things practical. So once we learn, we take a case, then you appreciate it, right? I don't want it to be just theory, talk. I go explain, no evidence. I they lie.
No, they lie.
Yeah. So better. Do I have a lot of cases? Just one simple case. Once I finish explaining, then we take a case and see. So let's go back to where we were. Where were we? Okay. Some people's backgrounds have some noise. Okay, so let's see. The stakeholder position and importance matrix. It tells us 2 things. One is position. What is your position? Do you support us or do you oppose us, right? So we are looking at those who love you and those who hate you. Not in terms of hate, I'm talking about what you do. Then importance is this person very important or you're very for? Are you shy of that person? Or the person is less important that you can ignore? So those who are very important to you, you consider them to sort of have some importance to the organization, right? That they are either connected, highly connected with you, or they are internal, right? This makes them quite important. And then the less important ones are mostly the external ones. You get it? Because those ones, they do not have any control. They haven't contributed anything into your life. This person doesn't give you chop money, but has a right to say something in your life. You hear some before. You hear some before. Somebody who makes no impact in your life wants to come and tell you bullshit. You agree?
Probably no agree, give am.
That be all. Okay, so we are looking at 2 things: those who oppose or support us and how important they are. So see, if you have this market woman who sells Kobe, right? And then you are into food production. Remember our Banku business we started last week. And then this woman has a say, right? She's always condemning you. If you come, she doesn't sell to you. Look at it, comparing it to your big business that you have. Is she important or less important?
Less important.
But is she supporting or opposing you? Is she supporting or opposing you?
Opposing.
So this makes her a problematic stakeholder. Okay, so this model is actually very simple if you understand how to apply it, right? So it comprises the position of the stakeholders, and for position, it talks about whether we are opposing you or we are supporting you.
Baby.
To the whole module, somebody said if you could take it again. I haven't started, but I'll just give you an idea. It's now that I'm come to teach you the model, so don't worry. So the position of stakeholders on a particular issue, whether they support or what, oppose you, we have a scale ranging from what? Strong opposition, those who strongly oppose you, which is +5, and to strong support, which is -5. So we are saying that those who oppose you, you can see, this is opposition, right? Then we have support here. You can see. So those who support you, ITA made a mistake. It's supposed to be -5 and +5 rather. You understand? So if people support you, you put them on +5, support. And if people oppose you, you put them on -5, right? So that's their position, whether they are supporters or opposers. Then we look at importance of the stakeholder. If the stakeholder is less important, we give him a -5. If he's more important, we give him what? A +5. You see, this model is easy. And every time they ask you to apply such models, always draw the diagram. What did I say? Always what? Always draw the diagram. So I'll teach you how to answer stakeholder questions. There's always two approaches I adopt. There are always two approaches I adopt, right? So in that case, let us see. So when the person highly opposes you, but he is less important, like the market woman we suggested, right? This becomes what? A problematic stakeholder. They don't want peace. They want problem always. They are problematic. Do you get it? Problematic stakeholders. Then we have those who are important, right? They are very important to you, but they also oppose you. These people are called antagonistic. Let me give you, for example, right? Let's say a shareholder, let's say a shareholder who has like 60% of your investment, right? 60% investment in the company, and you are pursuing a strategy, and this guy, a majority shareholder, and this guy doesn't want to agree. Is it not very important to the organization?
Yes.
But is he supporting or opposing you?
Opposing.
Opposing.
And that makes him what?
Antagonist.
That makes him antagonistic, right? And these antagonistic stakeholders, for instance, let me say a key supplier, right? You want a discount. This supplier, you buy like, this supplier supplies 90% of all your produce. Makes him very important. Doesn't it make him very important? Because if he goes, you can lose, you can go down, you can no longer be a person. So this key supplier is very important, but then you want a discount. This guy is not giving you the discount. Is he opposing you or supporting you?
Opposing.
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 Where do we put him?
Antagonistic.
Antagonistic. So there's this customer who buys 1% of our supplies, and there's this customer who buys 20% of our supplies, right? And this customer wants us to grant him a discount. We are not. This customer also wants us to grant us a discount and also give him some conditions, and we don't want to give him, like, reduce the debtors days, right? We don't want to do that. Because of that, he said he will not buy from us, or he's trying to fight with us. Where will we put customer A and where will we put customer B? Where will we put customer A and where will we put customer B?
They will be problematic
Why problematic?
because his importance is low and he's opposing us.
Okay. And then what about customer B? What about customer B? Where will we put him? I think he has power, right? It's very important.
That's a good topic.
But I think we'll put him at antagonistic.
Why?
Probably benefiting from him, but he's requiring what we cannot grant.
Okay, that's fine. So when it comes to support, the person might either be a low priority, somebody supports you, right? But he's not so important, right? Those people are low priority stakeholders, and those who support you and are very important to you, like your management, okay, management of the company, maybe some key stakeholders, key shareholders, some customers, some key customers, some key suppliers. Are you getting it? Those people are what? Those people are what? They are supporters, right? Now, sometimes antagonistic stakeholders, we can try to put government and government agencies there, right? Because these people are very important, okay? They are very important. It depends on the level of power that they hold. For instance, considering a small labor union compared to EP, which one do you think is very important? Which one? A small labor union compared to yeah, the
EP.
right? Because they can make and unmake you. Do you understand? And that is what we are looking at. Do you get it? So my issue is you identifying the person. It doesn't mean that one stakeholder always has to be an antagonistic. That's what students do not get. A stakeholder can span across different areas. All you have to do is try to make sense. I tell you, there's no right answer until you give evidence, right? Remember, I told you anytime you're answering questions, use P, right? P, point, explanation, then evidence from the case. Anytime you use P, you are fine. Okay, it doesn't matter what course you are doing, always point, make the point, explain, and then give evidence. Okay, so now you have seen this model. This is the model we will learn first. We apply it to one case, then we apply what? The second model to the same case. Now, before we come to this model, let's look at how to, deal with these stakeholders. And that is where it is important. A lot of students just learn to place the stakeholders on the diagram. This one is supporting, this one is opposing, this one is antagonistic, this one is low priority. That is not what we want. What we want is the management, okay? That's why we say stakeholder management, stakeholder appraisal. It's the management of the stakeholders we are concerned about, right? So we are concerned about, we are doing strategic case studies. So it's the strategies to manage the stakeholders is what we are concerned about in the exam. So if you are able to tell me, okay, this guy is antagonistic, okay, fine. So how then do we deal with him? Because you are trying to settle that conflict, right? So we are saying that the map can be used by the director to assess the action they should take to try to win the support of each stakeholder group, right? So they should give more attention to the important stakeholders. So in the metrics that we've seen, the main concern should be to deal with important stakeholders who are strongly opposed to the proposed plans of the board of directors and are antagonistic. So these are the most important and opposing ones, right? So these are the people that what you try to deal with immediately, right? Because if that threat is not neutralized, you're going to have a problem. Are we okay? So these are the ones who are shown at the top right-hand corner of the matrix, which we saw. And then the director should consider what measures to be taken to try to reduce the opposition of these stakeholders. Their decision will be influenced by what the consequences for the company might be if the stakeholders keep becoming antagonistic, almost ding, right? These people, what do you do to them? So the strategy for dealing with these people is to find a compromise, which will reduce the opposition. Maybe speak with them, have a dialogue with them, right? Maybe try to arrange a better payment strategy with them, or maybe, okay, this time we are going to pay dividends to you guys. Are you okay with it? I guess to try to find a compromise to reduce the opposition. Otherwise, the organization will not go on. And remember, any strategy that you pursue, if stakeholders are not on board, sometimes, especially shareholders, and if this guy is a majority shareholder, imagine what will happen. It can collapse the company if he does not agree with you, right? So with antagonistic, what is the strategy for managing them?
Find a compromise.
So write it down. Antagonistic, find a compromise. And I've given you various strategies to find compromise, right? So that one is up to you. You decide how to find compromise. I cannot tell you. It depends on the case. So when it comes to those who are problematic, trying to win their support. You see the woman, why was she angry with you at the market? Because you don't buy Kobe from her. Do you understand? That's why she's angry with you. So try to win her support. How do you win her support? You try to one time buy from her, okay? Or is that not it? You try to buy from her or find a way to win her support. True or false?
True.
Are we okay? So what's the next one? Problematic. Problematic. What is it? We try to win what? Win their support, right? No be so. No be so.
It is so.
Okay.
Yes, sir. If it's so.
Although the opposition is relatively unimportant, we should try to still win their support because together they can get power. Do you understand? Then those who support us, the supporters, those who are very important and supporters, are you getting it? Those supporters, what we do is that we make sure we do not angry them, right? So we maintain the goodwill that we have with those people, right? So the low priority people, we do nothing, but I don't think you do nothing. Are you getting it? At least regular communication will do, right? Regular communication or just keeping them informed about what is happening. Like even if it's infrequent, keeping them informed about changes and things like that. Speak well of you. I am talking from an ethical point of view. There's no stakeholder, you just have to do nothing. You just have to give minimal effort, right? That's what we call it, minimal effort. You put in minimal effort with those stakeholders. So let's say something is happening in the community and you turn a blind eye. Does that speak well of you? So here ICA just kept, they didn't give any strategy for them, but I'm telling you in the exam, provide a strategy, provide minimal effort, at least communication will do. I hope that makes sense. The strategies is what is important. It is not you knowing the model. Knowing the model is not enough. If it's 10, they give diagram 4 marks, 6 marks to strategy. So it's a strategy that it is important. Are we okay? Have you written it down?
Yes, Prof.
Is stakeholder analysis interesting? Should we make it practical?
It is.
Should we make it practical now?
Yes, please.
Okay. So let's take this breaks off and close this diagram. I hope you can see my whiteboard. Let me show you how to answer stakeholder questions.
The manual is still showing.
Can you see my whiteboard now? So
Yes.
answering stakeholder appraisal questions, right? Before we come to the common model, stakeholder appraisal questions. So when you're answering stakeholder appraisal questions, for me, I adopt, there are 2 methods or 2 ways or 2 approaches, right? 2 methods or 2 approaches. And what are these two approaches? The first one is where you identify, I get it, the group. So this is the first method. You identify group, okay? As you identify the group, then you talk about them, list them, and suggest strategies, okay? So this is the easiest one, okay? So you talk about them, then you list them, then you suggest strategies. The second method is where you identify individual stakeholders. Okay, so here you go individual and underline. Okay, then you talk about that individual. Okay, talk about him or her or the group, that particular category, right? So you talk about it, categorize it in the matrix, not so, then suggest strategy. But this one makes it very long, right? Suggest strategies. Let me illustrate it for you to see. It means that, let's say, when we take a case, right? So looking at option one, this is how you're going to do it. So you are going to say maybe antagonistic stakeholders. You see how you do it. Antagonistic stakeholders. So when you are doing P, you are trying to say this is point. You understand? This is the point you want to make. And that antagonistic stakeholders. Then you say that antagonistic stakeholders, not so, refer to what? Refer to stakeholders who are what? Who are very important, not so?
Yeah.
Are very important and highly what? Opposing, not so,
Strongly oppose
to
proposed plans.
to the proposed plans of the board of
the
directors,
board.
right? Plotting them
Yes.
on the diagram, not so. Plotting them on the matrix, not so. On the matrix, we'll have what? And -5 for opposition, not so. And what? +5 for what? Importance, right? You get the idea? So you have defined the point. Then what is this? We are using P, so point. This is what? E, explanation, right? Do you get it? Now let's go to evidence from the case. Then you say from the foregoing or from the case, the following what? The following stakeholders are what? Are considered to be what? To be antagonistic. Do you understand? Makes sense. So one, then I say what? The political party in the current government. Yeah, I'm just suggesting. Two, maybe the majority stakeholder or majority shareholder in the company, right? Then once you have been able to, these are the only two you saw from the case. Then you say strategies for managing them, right? Then you say strategies for managing them. Management should try to what? Should try to what?
Management should try to
Find,
compromise.
try to find a compromise with these what? With the above stakeholders, right? You get the idea? With the above stakeholders. Okay. So they can reach a compromise by, so you can say that maybe what? Finding a way to what? Have dialogue with them, maybe compensation plans. I get it. Maybe try to declare dividends since you've not declared dividends. It depends on the nature of the question. But did you see how I'm answering it? I want you to be able to answer questions so flexibly, so comfortably, right? That's why I always put it in place for you to see. This is how we do it. Some people will just talk. No evidence, right? This is evidence. Point, explanation, evidence. You can see that was point, that was explanation. You tell us who they are, then you see evidence. That's how I answer case studies. Point, what point do you want to talk about? The heading. Explanation, what does it mean? That's the theory around it. Then evidence from the case, right? Always have this with you and you should be fine. Does that make sense? Are we okay with option one? Do you want to write it down? Right, feel free, feel free. That's what we are learning here. Feel free. Just put it together. Are you writing? Or we can move.
Yeah, right.
Writing. Handwriting is too clear.
But is it clear? All right.
Oh, some are not clear.
Very, very clear.
Antagonistic stakeholders refer to stakeholders who are very important and highly opposing to the proposed plans of the board. Plotting them on the importance and opposition matrix will be -5 for opposition and +5 for importance. I get it. So that was what explanation, right? Then I go to evidence. From the case, the following stakeholders are then considered to be antagonistic. Then I talk about maybe there was some political party who were opposing the plans, right? The majority stakeholder, because that political party is also the current government, which means if you make noise, they can close your business. True or false? Making them very important,
True.
right? Then the majority shareholder, you can also take his shares away, you lose. So from the case, this may be the two people. Then you now suggest how to deal with these two people to bring their opposition down. So you say management to try to reach a compromise with these stakeholders, which include doing this. And this will help bring their opposition down, right? Sometimes you can even tell us that when the opposition is brought down, it can change them to become supporters, or it can switch them to become this. They just want to see. Are you done?
Yes, please.
Can we look at option 2? Can we look at option 2?
Yes, please.
So option 2 is this way. Option 2 is where you take the stakeholder, right? So option 2, I can say, okay, the political party, okay? I can say what? The political party of the ruling government, not so, may be considered, not so, may be considered as what? May be considered as what? An antagonistic what? Antagonistic stakeholder. Okay. Then you can go for a say, this means that, okay, they are what? They are highly opposing. -5, no so. Highly opposing, for instance, -5. And very what? Very important, as they can easily what? They can easily put, I get it, the company out of what? Out of business. Do you get it? They do not support the business of the company and how it is treating its staff, okay, and the local community. Appropriate strategies would include also the company should try to reach a compromise with these stakeholders, right? Which may include this and that. So which model do you like? So this one, you take them one by one. So you cannot select all but the major ones, then you talk about them by talking about what they want, their position importance, and the strategies to deal with them. Are we okay? Are we okay? So which model, which method, which approach, which technique do you prefer? Or both are okay? At least you know how to do both. So nobody's talking. No. Which one do you prefer? A or B? A or B?
Option 1.
Option 1 is simple, eh? Yeah.
One is simple.
But you see, they all have a way they do their own thing, right? But I hope both are still in your head. In case the examiner tells you to identify the stakeholder and talk about the stakeholder individually, then you know that he's specifically requesting for option 1. He's specifically requesting for option 2, yes. So, without further ado, let's see. Who is reading for us? Julius, will you read for us?
Yeah, Prof, I will.
Okay, let's go.
Stakeholder analysis. E is a multinational organization and is one of the largest global producers of chocolate, coffee, and other foodstuffs. A categorizes the countries in which it operates as follows. 1. Less developed countries, from which E sources raw materials, but where there is no established local market for the finished products. Category 2, fully developed countries, into which E imports raw materials, manufactures and serves the local and exports markets. In every country in which E operates, it follows the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development guidelines for multinationals. In the particular case of country F, a less developed country, E has helped the local farmers to organize themselves into cooperatives to produce their crops. He has also funded schooling for the children of both the farmers and their workers, built and staffed a hospital, and has provided other welfare benefits. He considers himself to be a good corporate citizen, and is used as an example of good practice on the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development website. Although the farmers' cooperatives are free to sell to E's 2 main competitors, they tend not to do so because of the close and friendly working relationship that they have with E. Both of E's main competitors and multinationals, both of E's main competitors are multinationals, but both are smaller than E. E has recently been receiving some bad publicity in country F. The management of E feels that this is being organized by the government and the National Labor Union of country F. The government of F is responsibly supportive of business. It's reasonably supportive of business, but won the last election with a narrow majority. the government is now under pressure to raise the standard of living of the population. An election is due within the next 15 months. The National Labour Union, which is increasingly being supported by the main opposition party in country F, is extremely anti-business. It would like to sell all foreign companies. Removed from country F and all foreign-owned assets and cooperative nationalized. The government of country F has stated that the prices paid for cocoa beans are too low and the country F is not gaining sufficient tax revenue from the exports. The government of country F has threatened to impose an import tariff on cocoa beans unless prices are increased and unless he opens a manufacturing facility in the country F. The management of E feels that it has been targeted by the government because it is the largest of the 3 multinationals operating in the country. The National Labour Union of country F has argued that the farm workers are being victimized by the farmers, who have become too powerful because of the cooperatives. It states that the government of F should not allow the farmers to operate in this way. The management of E does not want to build a factory because the transport costs from such a factory to the nearest market for finished products would force the company to operate the factory at a loss. The chief executive of E is due to meet with government ministers from country F to discuss E's future operations and involvement in the country.
Okay. No, we know what we have to do already. We are applying the model. So in summary, what did we see from the case? Yes. From what Julius read, what did you see? So this is what you think about. Who are the key stakeholders? Now everybody must give me one. What stakeholders did we see from the case?
Government.
The government.
The government, right? We see OECD, right? OECD is an external stakeholder, right? Okay. We see that particular case of country F, it has helped the local farmers were there, right? Local farmers, true of us. So first identify. Then they have cooperatives, right? Which were formed by the farmers. He also has funded schooling for the children of the farmers and their workers. That means they were farm workers, right? Staffed the hospital and has provided welfare benefits to who? Farmers and their children. That means the community, right? The community was also there. Then, although the farmers cooperative are free to sell to each 2 main competitors, each competitors were also there, right? Stakeholders. Okay. So how many stakeholders have we identified so far? You tell me where we categorize them. Connected, internal, external. OECD.
External.
External.
Local farm.
Tempted to say
Connected. Cooperatives. Connected. Workers. Connected. The community. Community.
External.
External.
Competitors.
External.
Okay. So there are 2 main competitors are multinational. He has recently been receiving some bad publicity. Bad publicity. Is it not opposing? Is this not opposition? So the media is opposing, right? The media is opposing, but the media has no power in your business. So where will we put media?
External.
Now, where will we put it on the diagram, the matrix? Problematic, right? It's not problematic.
It can be moved.
No, look, they are opposed, but they do not have
Okay.
importance in our business. Oh?
Okay, so yeah.
Do you all agree with me? If you don't agree, then take another strategy. So the management of E knows that this is being organized by the government. So it's the government who is strongly opposing, and the National Labour Union. So we've seen one stakeholder, the current government, and we've seen the National Labour Union, right? So you see, we are just identifying the stakeholders. And they said the government of F, which is a stakeholder, is reasonably supportive of business. That means when you are doing business, they support you. And they won the last election with a narrow majority. That means it is possible that in the next election, the next party may win, who may not be supportive of business. So he being supportive of business means that he currently supports you, right? So you check. On the verge of importance, can we put him at high or low?
High.
High. And when it comes to support?
And not too high.
High. So where will we put him? Supporter.
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 You understand? So they said the government is now under pressure to raise the standard of living of the population. So election is due in the next 15 months. And the National Labour Union, which is increasingly being supported by the main opposition party. That means the Labour Union that is opposing us, it is supported by the opposition party who may win the next election. He has the support of the people. And it's extremely anti-business. It being extremely anti-business means that it is what?
Against business.
So means that is it supportive or opposing?
Opposing.
Opposing.
And it would like to see all foreign companies removed from country F. Wow. And all foreign owned assets and cooperatives nationalized, expropriation, they'll take everything. So this one is a strong opposition, you can see. So what is this guy? Antagonistic or problematic?
Yeah, problematic.
Are you sure? Okay. You can
Antagonist.
problematic. No. Is it very
No, I think antagonist would do.
it depends. Then the opposition party of the current government.
Because they are not in power, their influence will be less.
Yeah.
Because they are not in power, their influence will be less. Do you all agree?
Yes.
But they have the support of the National Labour Union. Let's continue. Let's see. They said
But
that
they are not in power.
they are not in power. Okay, so we'll place them as problematic, right? Okay, that's nice. I like the
Yes.
thinking. Now, they said the government of country F has stated that the prices for the cocoa beans are too low, right? The government itself. And that country F is not gaining sufficient tax revenue for the exports. So, because of that, he has threatened to impose an export tariff on the cocoa beans. Somebody who was supporting us is now imposing export tariff, trying to oppose us, right? That the price for the cocoa beans are too low. So what is happening? Opposition, right?
Yes.
So that's why I told you that it is not a one-way answer. You can start by saying this guy is supportive and will be what? Supporter. But along the way, because he imposed an external tariff, it was what? Opposing the strategies of directors. And that shifted him from being a supporter. And in that instance, he is what? Antagonistic at that moment. So it doesn't mean that these things are sure bankers, right? People can switch from one phase of the matrix to another. Understand it? Makes sense. I hope you are getting it very well. I prefer you get a model that just know about it. When you know how to apply it, you can apply, right? So it says, unless prices are increased and unless he opens a manufacturing facility in the country, which involves money, right? If you have to do this, does it not involve investment? So what if you can't do it? That means you are strongly being opposed, right? So the management, we've seen another stakeholder, management. They feel that it has been targeted by the government because it is the largest of the three manufacturers, multinationals in the country. The National Labour Union of the country has argued that farm workers are being victimized by the farmers. So now it's the farmers who have become the big men. They are now victimizing the farm workers who have become too powerful because of the cooperatives, right? So the cooperatives are making these guys powerful. But when we are looking at the farmers, where will we put the farmers at? Farmers.
The farmers.
Supporters.
Yes, I think they deserve to be supporters.
Supporters. What about the farm workers?
The farm workers too.
They may be problematic because they feel like they are not being paid well. Or what do you think?
But it is the National Labor Union that is arguing on their behalf. And these people at the
They
beginning,
would have raised the issue. If I don't tell you my sickness, how can you give me medicine?
we know we've been opposing from the beginning, even as things are all right, you know. They had their own oppositions together with the opposition party. So even if these people don't even say anything, they have the potential to go and be pushing those things.
Of course. So where will we put the farm workers at? Low priority. Yes, I consider them low priority because they may support
Low
us,
priority.
but they do not have so much power because it's still the farmers who control them. So low priority. That's it. What about the opposition party? Okay, we said we'll put him at problematic. Okay. So it states that the government of Edo allow the farmers to operate in this way, right? The management of E does not want to build a factory because the transport costs from such a factory to the nearest market for finished products would force the company to operate the factory at a loss. So we have to try to find a compromise with the current government who supports business, right? Give him an alternative. Do you see how I'm coming up with a strategy? There's no one sure answer. We have to meet with the, so look at what they did. They said that chief executive is due to meet with the government ministers from country F to discuss the future operations and involvement with the country. What are they trying to do here? What is this? They are trying to find
Compromise.
a compromise.
Compromise.
Compromise
Compromise.
and support.
Of course. Or try to win their support, right? So let's go back. So this is how, let's draw the diagram and put the stakeholders in their right places, right? That's how I choose to do it in exam. And it always scores marks, so people do not know this trick. So I'm teaching you, right? So what do we put here? Here is -5, right? For importance, right? Importance. So importance, we are saying low. Then we have what? High, right? Highly important. Then we have what? Opposition, also. Opposition. So we have pose, which is what? -5, not so. And what? Support, which is what?
That's 5.
Okay. So those who are here are called what? Problematic. And problematic, which people can we identify? Let's list them. Problematic.
The National Labor Union, the
National
opposition.
Labor Union. You see how I do it? Right alongside the National Labor Union. Opposition party. Opposition party. The media, right? What about the current government? Antagonistic.
Antagonistic. Today they are here, tomorrow they are there.
And so the current government, right? Can put in here. Then who else? Who else was causing problem? Who else was causing problem? Okay, here we can put the farm workers here, right? But you know the farm workers may also be problematic.
How about the competitors?
The competitors, did they play any role? Yes, they will oppose us. They will oppose us because they want people to buy from them. So we could put them under problematic. But they are not. I told you talk about the major ones in the scenario. Not so. So yeah, we can put the farm workers and then the community, right? Because these people, you were supporting them, right? Do you remember? The community, you were supporting them, right? Building schools, I get it.
Health centers.
Low priority, not so. OECD supports you. Do you remember? He posted you on his website. That you're good. They support you. Then what about supporters? Supporters there, we had a lot of them. Basically, our management, right? Our management, our shareholders, we saw this from the scenario. Our CEO, right, who is trying to reach a compromise. And who else? These are the only ones we saw from the case. True or false? You see, this makes everything pan out for you, right? And once this has panned out for you, you are now going to suggest what? Take them one by one, right? So when we take problematic stakeholders, I know you know how to deal with them, right? So first you identify, say, what are they? You define who they are. The next step is after defining them, what do? You list them, right? You remember? Then now you suggest strategies. So the problematic, how do we try to deal with them? We try to what? Win their what?
Win their support.
Win their support, right? Okay. And how do we do that? How do we win the support of the National Labor Union and the opposition party? Stop the bad publicity. How? Increase the wages or talk to the farmers, right? To increase the wages of the farm workers. Or do you think this can help us win their support?
Yes.
In one way, but this guy is extremely anti-business, and there's a chance that he will win the next election. He wants everybody to leave, these multinationals to leave, so that local businesses will be nationalized. How do we try to win the support of this guy? He doesn't like multinational business.
Dialogue.
Through dialogue. Okay, it's good. Collaboration, right? What if you collaborate with them? Is it a good strategy?
Yes.
Okay, it depends. That's why I said this thing is so open. Are we okay? Makes sense. What about the antagonistic strategy? Find
So
compromise.
please, where does the farmers fall under?
The farmers. The farmers were problem. The farmers themselves, they were supporters. Thank you, I forgot. The farmers were supporters. Are we okay? So now you know how to do stakeholder analysis when it comes to the opposition and support matrix, right? The power, it's a power, position importance matrix. You see, it's very easy to apply. Is it easy? The trick to applying this model is identifying. That is it. When you identify, think about the person. Is it very important to the operations of the business? Can you easily shut the business down? I get to think about it. We didn't see more of customers and their roles and suppliers. I get to in the case. If we did, we also plot them like I did. That's why it's a matrix. It's a map, stakeholder mapping. So you see, I've mapped them. And this diagram, it has all the marks because you've listed all the stakeholders. Trust me, you get all the marks. And when you finish, you talk about them. Please, can we go to the last model? Can we go to the last model? So when I finish, I'll share this question with you. I'll take it on, today is Monday, right? I'll take it on Wednesday evening. That's what I've shown you how to answer. So you are going to do the same question with all the two models. You're going to use this model and use the other model to answer it, and let me see. I hope that's okay. So right after class, I'll share it on your page for you. That okay? Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So can we go to the last one? So the community, what is the best strategy to deal with them? What's the best strategy to deal with the community? Best strategy to deal with the community. Nobody is talking. What's the best strategy to deal with the community?
It's do nothing, but is it we shouldn't write do nothing?
No, you can't say do nothing. Do nothing.
Regular communication.
Okay,
Okay, so you keep them informed.
keep them informed.
Keep them informed.
or you put in minimal effort. Because if you just say that do nothing, it's unethical. People you are building schools for and those things. You said you're a good corporate citizen. That alone in the question tells you that you can't say do nothing, right? I hope that makes sense. So the next, so when it comes to the next model, which is the most important model, see this model, we do it straight from ICA level 1, right? So it is the most important. It's even important than the one that we saw, right? This is even more important than the one that we saw, right? So this matrix compares the amount of interest, how interested is the person in your business on a particular issue, okay? So ranging from not all interested, 0, to very interested, +10. Then we look at the relative power of the stakeholders from a scale of very weak to very powerful, right? And there are various sources where stakeholders get their power. So French and Raven proposed where stakeholders get their powers from, right? Stakeholders get their powers from different sources, right? And if you want to look at the sources of stakeholder powers, okay, you will talk about so many sources, right? So we have stakeholders who have resource power. It means that they get their power because they have resources. Do you get it? We have reward power. Do you know that some people have power over you because of what they give you? Do you all agree? Do you all agree?
Yes, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that is what we call resource power. Okay, so some stakeholders, just because they have a way, they have resources, makes them get power, right? We have charismatic power, legal power, authoritative. There are a lot of sources of power. But if we are talking about stakeholder engagement strategies, right? Some of the strategies like to win support, to do all that, you can know how to deal with it. We have active collaboration. That is what? Listen to their feedback, address their concerns properly. Now, I've never seen students who answer stakeholder questions like this. They just say, win support. The examiner, all right, see this guy, how? Wait, team. Because you are not telling us how. Because the book said win support, you're also writing win support. You see, I always tell you, how do you win their support? You can do that through active collaboration. Build longer-term relationship based on trust and shared goals. I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm making sense.
Yes, please.
So how do you maintain well? Those who are supporters, like the farmers, right? You can keep them informed, involve them in relevant discussions, seek their input when appropriate, show appreciation for their continued support. That's how you maintain goodwill. How do you win support? Identify areas their interests align with yours. Work on building stronger ties. Highlight the benefits of cooperation and find solutions to potential conflict. How do you find compromise? Be open to dialogue and compromise when necessary. Keep lines of communication open to prevent any negative impact on your organization. Then you can regularly review and update, like the community, you remember. So these people, it can change over time. So it's crucial to regularly review and update your stakeholder assessment and engagement strategies to adapt to evolving priorities and circumstances, right? Just as we saw. So the power interest matrix, okay, this is it. And I told you that we are looking at those who have power to make your business and those who are very interested, right? But one thing I want you to look at are the different types of power. There are a lot of them, right? So where do stakeholders derive their power from? Okay, nobody will go and ask you this in exam, but sometimes you can chip them in your answers. Remember, my ideal student is somebody who can answer cases, unstoppable case answering, right? So French and Raven says that when it comes to power, you can have somebody who derives his power from his charisma. Do you know there are some people naturally, because of their natural ability to lead and influence people, even if they have not been formally appointed, it makes them charismatic. You like this guy because he can stand in front of people and talk. If there's a situation where somebody has to lead, he can stand in front of you and lead. That alone makes him powerful. True or false? True. 2, expert power. Somebody with so much superior knowledge in his field that makes him powerful, right? Do you understand? So you have a specialist knowledge that automatically when people come, they see that you are the boss. This guy there, no one, you know, go fit. That is expert power. So that guy gets his power. I'm teaching you this because some scenarios, especially the kind of cases nowadays they'll be giving you IT related. You see somebody who is he has an expertise, but they said do stakeholder analysis. So you can say that, okay, the source of his power is sort of like expert power. Do you understand? Because he's the key IT technician in the organization. He has a special skill set. Okay. I hope you are learning something. Now, when it comes to the normal power that we have been talking about so far, it's legitimate power. Because of management and staff, the position you hold in the organization can give you power, right? True or false? True. So comparing a director to a foreman or a supervisor, who has more power? Director. And what is the source of his power? Or what type of power does he have? Legitimate power, right? So we have reward power. Reward power means that you have the capability to grant people incentives, right? Increment, bonus, promotion, in return for them to comply with you. You know that this guy will give me money if I paint his house. Because of that, you always paint the house so that he can reward you. That is assumed power, right? You assume the person is powerful because he can reward you. Okay, there's one source of power. So in a question, identify where the stakeholders' powers are coming from. Do you understand? Then we have coercive power to force somebody. And this one mostly, who do you think has this coercive power? To impose penalties on sanctions for not complying with
regulators
and government, right? They mostly have coercive power, right? They will coerce you if you fail, you pay penalties. You fail to pay tax, you pay penalty, right? So, in simple terms, let me shift my screen and ask you, how many sources of power have we identified?
Right.
Where do stakeholders get their powers from? That's what I'm asking. Where do stakeholders get their powers from?
Well, you mentioned legitimate, you mentioned reward, you mentioned
You didn't explain, no. You said I mentioned. You are supposed to tell me. Legitimate power, what is it?
Well, we mentioned that
The power coming from those in position.
Yes.
Organization.
Or the role they play.
So let me ask you this one. What is reward power?
Reward power is knowing that the person has what it takes to appreciate your efforts or reward your good works.
Because of that, you think he's powerful. That gives power over you because okay. Now let me ask, what is resource power? It wasn't part, but I told you earlier. What is resource power?
Resource power.
I told you somebody has so much resources that makes him powerful, right? He has so many assets. He has so much resources. I get it. And that makes him powerful. For instance, a majority shareholder has resource power because he controls majority of the investment. You get it? Do you all agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What is referent or charismatic power?
People's ability to lead.
Yeah, and that's
their charisma.
It gives them power, right? What
gives them power.
is coercive power?
Is that power that relates to those who pass law and the regulation?
Yes. So the ability to impose penalties or punish you if you do not comply, right? So
as the power of the regulators.
Yes, that is it. So that is it. So because you are dealing with power and interest, right? With this one, what you do is that you have to look at the power and interest of the stakeholder, right? So we have based on your power or influence and your interest. So those with high power and high interest, we call them key players, okay? So from our scenario, I'm just using the scenario to explain who were the key players in the scenario, which people were highly interested in our business and have the power. One, the CEO, right? Do you all agree?
Yes.
The CEO,
Yeah, the farmers.
then the farmers, right?
Mhm.
And even these farmers, we are looking at the large farmers, right? Do you agree? There may be small ones and large ones. The large ones, because they give us majority of our produce. Do you all agree? So the farmers are like our largest suppliers. True or false?
Yeah.
Okay. Then these people, what is the strategy to deal with them? You manage them closely, right? Involve in decision making, engage regularly, and build a strong relationship with them. Do you understand? So you see, stakeholder appraisal is actually interesting, very interesting. But the approach that sometimes students adopt, I don't like it. They just list them like, okay, this one is a key player. How? He's a key player because that's fine. But how do you manage the stakeholder? The thing is stakeholder management. How do you manage? It's the management we are concerned about, right? So I hope you've got a strategy. Do we know how to deal with key players now?
Yes, Prof.
So what do we do if he's a key player? We manage
Manage them.
See,
decision making. We can engage
the
them
manage-
regularly, build a strong relationship with them, right? Okay. Now, if the stakeholder has very high interest in your business, okay, and then has low power, these people, you just keep them informed. So if tomorrow your boss said, Julius, don't come to work tomorrow, do you have any say?
No.
You don't
Yes,
have any say, right? Because though you have interest, you have less power. Do you understand? So we just have to keep you informed. So we utilize the high interest by engaging in decisions and consulting your areas of expertise and interest. That means we always keep you informed of things that you need to know about, right? So that is a strategy for managing you. So this type of keep informed stakeholders will be like the staff of what? The staff of E, right? Not so. We just keep them informed. Who else? The farm workers. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yes, these people, we just have to keep them informed of things happening within the organization because they have high interest but low power. They do not have any power because even the farm workers, their hands are in the mouth of what? The farmers. True or false?
True.
You all agree. I hope I'm making it practical enough for you. Okay, so let's go to the keep satisfied ones. Those we have to keep satisfied are mostly regulators. We keep them what? We have to keep them what? Satisfied, right? By complying with their laws and regulations. So these people can make your business. Though they have high power, they have low interest. Government does not have any interest in your business, right? He is concerned about you paying your taxes, you complying with laws and regulations. So these people, how do we keep them satisfied? We consult them often to know changes in laws and regulations, increase their interest. So you can make government be more interested in your business by changing government to become a key player, for instance, and can be hindrance to new ideas and strategy choices, like the way the opposing political party, right, wanted to stop us from what? Doing our business. Because when it comes, he may bring a new law for all multinationals to be driven away. Do you understand? So we comply with laws and regulations to keep them satisfied. So from the case, which people can we put under keep satisfied? Which
You
people?
mentioned the regulators.
Okay, so we have
I think,
the current government, right?
yes.
We have the
The
opposition
National
party.
National Labour Union.
We have the National Labor Union, right? We have the National Labor Union. These are the ones who are under keep satisfied, right? Okay, then low priority. So these people, we can monitor them only, no engagement or general occasional communication. So the low priority that the supporters, right? The low priority supporters that we have under the other model, you can still use the same strategy here. You see, it's good. You can either monitor them only, you do not engage, but I think the general occasional communication is the best strategy to deal with low priority stakeholders. So these
I
people,
think the media can also fall under that. How about that?
you said what? You
The
were saying-
media.
Yes, yes. So low priority here, we have the community, our competitors, our competitors, the media, right? So in exam, what's the ideal number of stakeholders to talk about? I don't know, but at least 5 is not bad, right?
Right?
Yeah. If you want to go stakeholder by stakeholder, 5. But if you want to go stakeholder head. I taught you how to do it, right? Either you go keep satisfied, then you list them, then you talk about the strategies, right? Or you can take each stakeholder, like current government, then you underline, then you talk about it. Opposition party, you underline, then you talk about it. Management, you underline, you talk about it. I taught you 2 approaches to deal with it, right? Do you remember?
Yes.
Okay. So I hope the models, you understood them very well.
So please, for instance, let's say you're talking about the government and you want to talk about it, you take it from the case.
Yeah.
That's the evidence. Okay. And can you interchange the quadrant too?
It doesn't matter. It depends on where you put your high and your low. So now I'm testing you. KPLC is a large multinational company that manufactures and sells motor vehicles. It has recently undertaken an analysis of its stakeholders using Mendelow's power interest matrix. Okay? During this analysis, it has identified 4 stakeholders. LPP, who is an international pressure group, and LPP is currently lobbying various national governments in an effort to reduce pollution, especially those from motor vehicles. So, if we are applying position and importance, is this LPP opposing or supporting us? Is LPP opposing or supporting us?
So opposing.
Why is he opposing?
Because they want to support the government to enact laws to reduce pollution.
I mean, since we make motor vehicles, they may impose some restriction on us, right? So they say LPP has arranged a number of high-profile protests in recent months, which has received a large amount of media attention. K is about to launch a new model of motor car, which is large and consumes significant amount of petrol. So this alone tells us that this is opposing our strategy, right? But the question is, LPP as we see it, is LPP important or less important to us?
It's less important.
So where we plot it on the importance position matrix? Problematic, right? Opposing, but less important. True or false?
True.
So how do we try to deal with this problematic stakeholder? Strategy.
We try to win their support
How do you win support?
through dialogues.
That is one. Or find something that interests both of you and try to be on the side, right? And
True.
no. The government of country H, right? So around 3/4 of KPLC's factories are based in country H. And the government has enacted a number of new pieces of health and safety legislation for factory workers in the last several years. It undertakes regular unannounced checks of all factories in country H and has recently heavily fined one of K's rivals for failing to meet safety standards. Opposing or supporting? Opposing, right? That means you have to check and do what? Quality checks and all that, which comes at a cost, right? So it means the government is opposing in terms of what the government is doing here, right? But the government is very important. It can make or make your business. So where will we put the government in this case? You are still on importance and position.
Agnostic.
Yes.
And how do we do this?
But sir, please, is it heavily find one of K's rivals?
But that means that you should also put health and safety measures in place, which comes at a cost. Do you see how I look at things? If he has gone to fire your rivals, very soon he will come to you. And I'm a boy.
Non-compliance.
Yes, of course. Non-compliance, meaning you incur costs. That means this guy is opposing you. Because if there's something small he finds, it may be a problem. Now, KPLC sales staff. Now, K sales staff make up around 25% of the total workforce, right? They are not significantly unionized. Please, anytime you see a case and they say workers are unionized, that means it gives them more power. Remember, if they are not unionized, it means their power is low. That's what I want to tell you about employees. So it's not every employee that you see that you say, oh, this one keep informed. No, You have to check. Are they unionized? If they are unionized, then they have more power. Do you all agree? Because there'll be collective bargaining. Makes sense. So they said, well, case sales staff make up around 25% of the total workforce. They are not significantly unionized and are relatively unskilled. So what is this telling us? Do they have power or they do not have power?
Mm,
Less
they
power.
don't.
They don't have power. They are all based in case head office. K is considering reducing the number of sales staff by around a third as part of a cost-cutting exercise. Oh, they're about to go home. So where do we put them?
Low priority.
Low priority.
Low priority. Are you sure it's low priority? Are you
What
sure?
their power is
Your staff, oh, are they not supporters? And see, the staff even, they said the staff even make up 25% of the total work. The sales staff.
but said they are not so important because he said they have not unionized.
25 is not significant.
Eh?
Mm,
Sales staff,
they are not
they are
significant.
around 25% of the workforce. And here we are, we want to lay some of them off. About
And
around
they are
of
skilled
the,
too.
so it's
So low priority, eh? So
you just keep them informed.
we can keep them in, we can just keep them informed, eh? Or
Minimal efforts.
yeah, minimal effort. That means we can do occasional communication, right? Okay, then F, which is a customer of K. F runs a small chain of car retailers. They exclusively sell K PLCs through certain models of what? Motor vehicle. F only represents 0.5% of K PLC's total sales, and K considering discontinuing the two-seater range in the near future. Hey, where will we put this guy? He buys from us, but want to discontinue selling that kind of goods. Where will we put him?
Only
Thank
make
you, customer.
0.5. Low priority says 0.5. He makes
5% of your sales is material.
It's
So it's not
important.
material.
It's
A
material, but
keep a seller,
not that
customer.
much.
probably we are
Customer.
considering discontinuing what we serve him. So he qualified to be in supporter, but because we are considering discontinuing what we supply him, I think he can fall within low priority.
Okay, that's fine. Low priority then. Okay. So that was about the position and importance, right? So regular or maybe occasional communication will not be bad, right? You have to communicate because he's buying a large portion of yours. Okay. What about the interest and power matrix? Now let's go there. That is the main thing. So LPP, where will we put him? An international pressure group. An international pressure group. Where will we put LPP? Who is opposing us? LPP, do they have power? Let's assess it. Do they have power over us?
No.
But he's locked.
Minimal efforts.
Okay, minimal effort. But he can trigger government, you know that. But they say it's lobbying with governments across the world. So yes, minimal effort, but he can move from minimal effort to become what? Keep satisfied. Do you know that? Do you all agree? Yes, because the more you are telling government becomes more angry. So it's between minimal effort and keep satisfied. And keep satisfied, how do we deal with them? Comply with what? Comply with their laws and regulations, right?
Requirement, yes.
Then what about the government of H? Keep satisfied, right?
Yes.
No, be so. We have to keep government satisfied, institute better health and safety legislation. What about KPLC sales staff? Keep informed, right?
Informed.
Because they have high interest, not so. But what? Low power, not so.
But I was also thinking they can go to low priority.
But look at it well. Your staff always have high interest. Low priority means low interest. Your staff works within the organization. Everybody who works within the organization always have a high interest, right?
Just consider the kind of staffs they are referring to. They mentioned
And
that
those they are
these
going to
tasks
lay
are
off,
not.
those they are going to lay off,
Sorry?
means they are not that important. Okay. So you can,
They are not significantly
okay, so you can,
unionized, and they are also relatively unskilled.
okay, so you can put them under low
But
priority.
please, this one isn't not a different matrix. Because that one, the low priority is for the importance and position. Or
Yes, but here too, we call them low priority or minimal effort. It's still the same. But this one is a different model. You get it? A different perspective. Here, low priority is those with low power and low interest. And looking at this stuff, to some extent, it means that they are not unionized. They are not unionized. They are relatively unskilled, and we are also laying them off, meaning they are not so important, right? Meaning they have less power, and their interest too is not that much. So low priority. But I can also say they have a high interest because they were still the sales staff of the company, right? So because of that, we just keep them informed of changes and things that are happening. Even this cost-cutting exercise, you have to inform them, don't we?
Yes.
Of course. Now, what about the customer who buys the 0.5 from us? I think, is he a key player? Or is a keep informed? Or is a low priority? Where will we put the customer? Where will we put the customer?
But from my end, I think it will also go to low priority. Still on the reason that we're considering discontinuing what we serve him in the near future. So if it should come under key players, you taught us that there are people we should manage closely and we should involve them in decision making.
Yeah.
And this person we'll be doing away with him soon. So I don't think you should take part in our decisions and also needs any close, attention.
Of course. I think that's good. Any other alternative? Yes. He has given a point why he thinks they should be low priority or minimal effort stakeholders. Yes. Any other option or any other alternative? Or everybody agrees that we should put them under minimal effort? Does everyone agree that we should put them under minimal effort?
or maybe keep informed.
Keep informed. Okay. BetWalt is a medium-sized online gambling company and is to move all its operations from the UK to a different country to reduce its cost base. The following stakeholders have been identified. A, low-skilled employees who are not heavily unionized. B, customers who are in both UK and abroad. And C, the UK government. I get it. So BetWalt's move is not against local laws. And D, major institutional investors with shareholders of between 25 and 30% each. So in respect of this move, which one of the stakeholder groups would need to be kept informed? This one is a simple question, straightforward, then let's move. Everybody's quiet. Which of the stakeholders will need to be just kept informed? Hey.
The customers.
Customers, are you sure?
Because they are moving their operations to.
Customers will be kept informed. Then. What about the low-skill employees too? Would they need to be kept informed?
They are not
So
really unionized.
Yes,
they should be kept informed because they have low power.
but they
They
still
have
high
interest, high interest.
Because these low-skilled employees, unlike the other case, we are not making them redundant. They are still working with us. That means that they have what? Less power but high interest. So employees will be interested as the move affects their livelihoods, but have little power to stop the move. True or false? Customers will have little interest as it will not affect their interaction with the company. Do you get it? So the people who said customers do not really care. Yes, you will keep them informed, but we are talking about in terms of heavily informing your employees to change jurisdiction, change this, put policies in place, announce it. I get it. So that you
But say, if you
Yes.
don't,
Oh, you
sorry,
see,
if you don't inform your customers
you will.
and they also tend to get a different competitor and then they buy from that, but you also lose sales and the rest from them.
Oh, you keep them informed though. But in terms of this strategy, we are looking at the one who needs to be satisfied first. Remember, we are doing stakeholder appraisal, right? So who is more important on the keep informed list, right? So that means if you like, you can say that, okay, we have the low-skilled employees and the customers, all under keep informed. But it depends on the kind of customer. Whether it's a high important customer, right, who buys a lot from you, where we put him under key player, or a customer who does not buy so much, where we put him under maybe keep informed. You understand? I hope that makes sense.
Yes, please.
So that was about stakeholder appraisal, and then I think gradually, we are there.